مش وصية الملكة الله يرحمها قبل ما تموت إن أنا اللي أحكم المتحف؟ يحكم المتحف نجمة، شمس، مفتاح.
ده في حالة عدم وجود نجمة، زيرو، شباك. صلاح الدين الأيوبي.
أنا أول مرة أخد بالي من السطر ده.
لأنك مش متعلم كويس.
Welcome back to another episode of Ancient Egyptian Language. Did you know that you were reading Egyptian hieroglyphs before you ever knew these videos? What? You don't believe me? You never do. So let's watch this episode together. What you see in front of you is the chronological relationship of the types of writing. The Latin writing system is the most common writing system in the world. The Latin script can be derived from the Etruscan script, which can be seen as a West Greek script. Writing came from the Orient to Europe via the Phoenicians. The origin of the Phoenician script is the so-called Proto-Sinaitic script, which in turn has its origin in the Egyptian hieroglyphs and in the hieratic writing. The Latin script that we use every day has, as you can see, its original origin in the Egyptian hieroglyphs. Before I show you some examples of letters that originate from the hieroglyphs, I would like to go into the history of the decipherment of the Proto-Sinaitic script. Many of you know the story of the decipherment of the hieroglyphs by Jean-François via the Rosetta Stone, which includes a text in 3 language systems: the hieroglyphic script, the demotic script, and the Old Greek script. A less well-known story is the decoding of the Proto-Sinaitic script by Sir Alan Gardiner, whom we already know from the Gardiner list, and who is one of the most important Egyptologists in history. Sir Alan Gardiner succeeded in deciphering the Proto-Sinaitic writing with ancient findings from Ser el-Khadim, a turquoise mine in the Sinai, in which both Egyptian as well as Semitic labor men were working. In course of time, these workers developed their own script, the Proto-Sinaitic script. In the mine both was used, the Proto-Sinaitic script as well as the hieroglyphs. In Ser el-Khadim, the workers worshipped a local deity under the name of the goddess Hathor, or Hathor. Sir Gardiner noticed a combination of Proto-Sinaitic characters found on several findings from Ser el-Khadim, among other findings on a Sphinx statue. He describes in his work The Egyptian Origin of the Semitic Alphabet that there is a high probability that the Semitic workers gave the goddess a Semitic name. He realized that she was given the feminine form of the god Baal, or Baal, namely Baalat or Baalat. This sign here is a B. The next character looks like an I and stands for the pharyngeal sound Ain, which also exists in Arabic. In Arabic, the word for I is also Ain. El-Ain means the eye. This sign right here is a L, and the last letter is a T and reminds you of the T from the Latin writing system. The Semitic workers adopted hieroglyphs that suited them, like the bull head. In the Egyptian writing system, the bull head is used as an ideogram for cattle, which is in the ancient Egyptian language Ka. The Semitic workers took this symbol and used it in a totally different way. In the Semitic language, the word for bull is Alf. The bull head stood for the first sound of the word Alf, namely the A. This sign has been simplified several times. The Phoenicians turned this sign, and the Romans turned it again, and this is how our Latin letter A came about. So to this day, the character A shows an inverted bull head on its horns. Who would have thought of that? The Egyptian hieroglyph for water looks like this. Water means in the Semitic language Mayem. A water line was taken from the hieroglyph. This water line also stood for the first sound of the word Mayem, namely the M. This became the Greek letter Mu and the Latin letter M. Also, the Egyptian sign for snake was used in the Proto-Sinaitic script. The word for snake is in the Semitic language Nachash. The sign was used for the first sound of the word Nachash, so the N. This became the Greek letter Nu and the Latin letter N. The word for head is in the Semitic language Rosh. The sign was also taken from the hieroglyphs and used for the sound R. It was simplified and turned again by the Romans, and became in that way our Latin letter R. We are now at the end of our episode. I hope we have learned a lot together and that I see you in the next episode. Ugai!